Hey, I'm here with Marc Bamuthi Joseph, my good friend, collaborator, colleague, brother in arms, and
Word up.
artistry. Yes.
Yes.
And I'm
Yes.
going to ask him 10 questions, and he's going to give his responses.
Okay.
So here we go. Question number one. What is your name, and how do you define yourself?
My name is Marc Bamuthi Joseph. I identify as father,
Hmm.
first generation American, artist, educator, culture maker.
Wow. Question number two. What were your past dreams and aspirations as a child?
Hmm. I probably wanted to play center forward for the Brazilian national soccer team,
Wow.
and I wanted to change the colors to purple and black.
Why? Why purple and black?
Um, uh, Purple was always my favorite color.
Hmm.
You know, maybe something to do with Prince. Maybe
Sure.
purple and black is aligned in some way to the Haitian Loa Guédé Dibo
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or Baron Samedi, who is a figure that I still connect to. I'm looking over my shoulder. There's a um, painting uh, over my shoulder where there are abstractions of Baron Samedi. So that energy continues to be a central force in my life. But also, I think just in terms of like the soccer uniform, yellow and blue was cool, but I just thought purple and black was tight.
It is. Well, it's the color of blood
Yeah.
and bruises.
This
Yeah.
is true. I wasn't as complex in my thinking. I was just across colors wearing Air Jordan rocking, 90s hip hop teenager.
Wow.
That was about loud ass or unusual color schemes.
Oh, well.
Anyway, so I wanted to play for the Brazilian national team, even though my parents are Haitian and I was born in Queens. So
I love
I
it.
guess that's why I guess that's why they're dreams.
Well, this is a great segue into your most recent work that you star in this question. Question number three. Describe your work and your dreams and aspirations now as an
Okay.
adult. As an adult.
Yeah, my work is uh, varied, or the permutations of the work are varied, but they all orbit, I would say, a similar value system.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want to create environments of possibility, of empathy, and of access. I love Black people and try to create affirmations of Black life and Black joy in the public realm. Sometimes that means writing a kind of alternative curriculum for the Hamilton musical. Sometimes that means writing a libretto for an opera with really amazing collaborators. Sometimes that means making dance theater work. I have a piece called Pelota that's about immigration through the lens of fatherhood and soccer.
Mm.
Sometimes that means curating performing arts or environmental festivals. Here at Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, I'm the chief of program and pedagogy, and that's one of the institutional places where all those um, kind of character traits and ambitions come together.
Oh, wow. Wow. I took special note around 3 minutes of this interview. You said some really beautiful and amazing quotes that I want to make sure I include as I mount this interview. Um,
Okay.
really, really beautiful and strong. And what does pelota mean?
Pelota is um, a colloquial term. It means ball. Growing up in
Oh,
Queens, a lot of times we didn't have access to green space, so we would play on the sidewalk with a tennis ball or maybe a slightly larger ball, maybe a Nerf ball.
hmm.
And you could use the short brick wall of the apartment building as kind of another player to pass off of. But you know, growing up in multi-ethnic New York, you hear all these different languages spoken for ball. So dame la pelota, dame la pelota. You'd hear that all the time. When you watch global football, Spanish broadcasters or Spanish language broadcasters commenting on global football. You hear pelota,
Wow.
So pelota really uses the positions on a soccer field to think through macro ideas in our social and political culture.
Hmm.
I say that soccer is the one thing that the entire planet can agree upon together. It's the official sport of this spinning ball, and hence pelota.
Oh, wow. Well, that actually brings us to our fourth question.
All right.
It's a little bit off kilter and off center stage, but purposefully so. And I think
Okay.
you're unique. I think you are uniquely qualified to answer it. So, question number
Okay.
four.
Let's see.
Oh yeah. How does love
Mm,
function within your life?
mm. Wow. Well, I think of three things. I think of Stevie Wonder, Love is in Need of Love today. Stevie Wonder, who inspires so many of us, hundreds of millions of us around the world. And I think about, nurturing an emotion that hopefully we all receive, and not enough of us receive in abundance. And a large part of the making, the manufacture, and the design of culture that I do in my life is really about propagating space for love, particularly love of marginalized communities through language and energetic reciprocity. The second thing that I think about through that question is Alicia Garza and Black Lives Matter. Alicia, really, along with James Baldwin and Martin Luther King and Gandhi and any number of activists over time, have really centralized the idea of love. King talked about the beloved community,
Hmm.
and this notion of centralizing love as a weapon, the idea that you can weaponize love, is a great inspiration for me. And then the third thing that I think about, of course, is my family. My son, my daughter, my wife, my mom, my sister, my nephew, my collaborators. That love is the energy that emanates from all of our best relationships. And if I am in service of their love, then I'm doing okay work.
Hmm. Well said. Well said. Question number five. Help us
Mhm.
understand your interpretation of art's leadership and the enterprising artist.
Um, my broad interpretation is that there's a tremendous amount of resource, financial resource on the planet that is misdirected um, to folks that are least in need. And on a similar plane, there is a ton of resource in cultural philanthropy and cultural expression, much of which is inequitably distributed. Furthermore, um, we who are stewards of arts institution, we who are stewards of the creative enterprise, have to be realistic about the ecological and political threats that are pervasive in our everyday culture. As
Hmm.
you and I speak today, we have an inept and probably substantially ill head of state in the United States who's going back and forth with someone who um, possesses those same qualities in North Korea, and through their bluster and disturbed sense of patriarchy and masculinity are throwing around nuclear volleyballs, playing with people's emotions, lives, and livelihoods. In that climate, and in an era of climactic climate change, we can't just be sitting around here saying our poems, playing our violins, doing our tour jetés, thinking that those things exist in a vacuum. So true arts leadership, I think, recognizes the urgency of the moment and take stewardship not only for cultural expression and cultural institution, but stewardship of the relationships, the networks, and the broader ambitions of social peace and justice that are most visible through the arts. But the arts in and of themselves are not the end, and certainly not the final piece of our leadership in these times.
Mm. Mm. Well, thinking about what you just said and the role and responsibility of the singular artist,
Mm-hmm.
which artist, just one, which artist do you most admire and why?
Um,
And we could say, which artist do you most admire and why today?
yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and I go back to Stevie Wonder.
Mm.
I probably stay with Stevie Wonder. Um, One, for just his mastery of craft and the joy that he brings, but he does not. He has never stopped locating his genius outside of the political moment,
Mm.
outside of the social moment, and um, you'll hear him before concerts, during concerts, and after concerts. Not only call out um, and call for a kind of joy and celebration and affirmation and depth of connection to our personal and collective imaginations, um, but he's incredibly politically informed.
Mm.
And whether it's the call for the abolition of apartheid, or the call for a King holiday, or his early advocacy of President Barack Obama, he has been politically consistent while existing literally without sight,
Mm.
um, for 50 going on 60 years in the public realm, and that's tremendously admirable to me and inspirational.
Yeah, you're making me see him in a completely different way. I mean, I'm kind of struck by, yes, he's a man without sight, but always with this incredible vision.
Yes, yeah,
And
inner visions. I mean, come on, man.
yeah,
Let's not get started. Our time is.
okay, our time is limited. Okay, well, with
Uh-huh.
that, which arts presenter, administrator, or cultural leader do you most admire, and why?
Oh wow. Um, you know, there are many. Um, I I think I like Philip Byther at the Walker Art Center. I
Mm.
think
Hmm.
he's incredibly sharp, um, candid, very sensitive. Um, is a perpetual risk taker.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, like if I were kind of starting an art center with somebody, um, I think his taste and the breadth of his aesthetic um, make him a prime candidate. He's the first person that comes to mind is Philip Byther of the
Wow,
Walker Art Center.
very interesting, very honest.
Yeah.
Does the artistic community have a role and responsibility towards the problems afflicting our communities?
Yes. for many of the reasons that that I stated earlier.
Yeah.
I don't want to overstate or repeat myself,
It's true. Yeah.
but you and I are both fathers. We live in a time where um, for our kids, it's going to be about fresh water and empathy, and those are going to be the currencies a generation from now. So let's not pretend that this doesn't exist. They took the leisure part of off the masthead, with the New York Times. It's not arts and leisure. It is arts,
Mm,
because there is no time for play.
mm, mm, mm. Ooh. Question number 7. What terrifies you the most?
Um, Besides, like, cockroaches,
Besides cockroaches, yes, which would
besides
be,
cockroaches and rats.
and rats. Very
Yeah,
terrifying.
terrifying. Um,
Insects and rodents.
yeah, I mean, I wanna, um, I wanna see. I'm terrified of not seeing my son
Mm,
um, grow to his fullest physical as well as emotional and
mm,
energetic potential.
mm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
I being in this body, and as he enters, he's 15, and I have similar but not quite but not identical fears with my daughter.
Sure.
Um, but as my son turns 15, and I watch him move from being like a really cute kid to being a physical reflection of the threat in America,
Mm,
as I'm going to give him the keys to the car soon,
mm-hmm.
within the next 3 to 5 years. And I recognize that in his body, he is a hunted commodity in this country.
Mm,
Um, and so I think that I fear that I am raising him in a time and in a country that is hunting him. And um, I want to see him grow to his fullest potential. Yes.
yeah. Yeah. Well, last question, and thank you for that.
Hmm.
That terrifies me as well.
Hmm.
Last question. Next year, you will.
Yeah. Next year, I'm going to be running shit.
There you go. You heard it
Yeah.
here first. You want
Yes,
to
you did.
elaborate on that at all? Or
I will
no?
not.
Okay. Didn't think so. Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. In
Yeah, man.
365 days.
Fingers crossed.
All right. Wow. Well, that's very exciting to hear. And I would say you are already running shit. But in all seriousness, on behalf of the artistic community, on audiences worldwide and local, both online and in the real world and in the future world, just want to say thank you for your contributions and your gifts and your wisdom and your words and your righteousness and your fears and courage and place and purpose in what you have done and in what you're doing.
Thank you, brother.
We hear you, we need you, and God knows we love you. So thank you,
Respect.
Marc
Right
Bamuthi
on.
Joseph. All
All
right.
right. Peace.
Peace, brother. Bye bye.
Peace.